Picture yourself walking into a mall in 1985. The fountain in the center court is running. Teenagers are clustered outside the arcade. The food court smells like Cinnabon and fried chicken at the same time. Every storefront is full, every parking spot taken, every escalator crowded with people who came here not just to shop, but to spend the entire day. Now walk into that same mall today. Half the storefronts have paper taped over the glass. The fountain is dry. The food court has 3 options left, and one of them is closing next month. You can hear your own footsteps echo. What happened to one of the most successful retail inventions in American history? And why did it die so fast, in a country that built more of them than anywhere else on Earth? At its peak in the late 1980s and 90s, America had roughly 2,500 enclosed shopping malls. They weren't just stores. They were the literal center of suburban American life. Teenagers had their first jobs there. First dates happened there. Entire weekends revolved around them. The mall was where you went because, frankly, there was nowhere else designed quite like it. Climate-controlled, endlessly walkable, packed with everything from clothes to movie theaters to ice rinks under one roof. So what killed something that dominant? It wasn't one thing, it was 4 things, stacking on top of each other across 3 decades. First, the rise of big box stores. Starting in the 1990s, retailers like Walmart and Target began opening massive standalone stores that undercut mall retailers on price, parking convenience, and speed. You didn't need to walk through 3 other stores to grab toothpaste and a t-shirt. You could park right at the door and be in and out in 10 minutes. Malls were built for browsing. Big box stores were built for efficiency, and efficiency started winning. Second, and far more devastating, e-commerce. When Amazon went from books to literally everything in the 2000s, it attacked the mall's entire reason for existing, the idea that you needed to physically travel somewhere to compare options and make a purchase. By the mid-2010s, online sales were growing by double digits every year, while mall foot traffic kept declining. You no longer needed a building full of stores. You needed a phone. Third, the department store collapse. Malls were originally built around anchor stores, big names like Sears, JCPenney, and Macy's that pulled in foot traffic and made the smaller stores around them viable. When Sears began closing hundreds of locations through the 2010s, and other anchors followed, it triggered something retail analysts call the dead mall domino effect. Once one anchor closes, foot traffic drops enough that smaller surrounding stores can't survive either, which makes the mall less attractive, which causes the next anchor to leave too. Fourth, a generational shift in what people actually wanted from a shopping trip. Surveys throughout the 2010s consistently showed younger shoppers gravitating toward open-air retail districts and walkable downtown shopping streets instead of enclosed malls, chasing a sense of authenticity and local character that a generic enclosed box couldn't offer. The mall wasn't just losing to a website, it was losing to Main Street too. The numbers tell the story bluntly. Of the roughly 2,500 malls that existed at the peak, retail analysts estimate that by the early 2020s, somewhere between a quarter and a third had already closed, or were operating at such low occupancy they were functionally dead. Researchers studying the industry have predicted that a significant share of America's remaining malls could close entirely within the coming years, if current trends continue. Here's the detail that makes this stranger than it first appears. America built more malls per capita than almost any country on Earth, and now America is demolishing them faster than almost anywhere too. In much of Europe and Asia, mixed-use shopping centers integrated directly into dense city centers never relied as heavily on car-dependent suburban anchors the way American malls did, so they didn't face the same collapse when online shopping arrived. The American mall was uniquely a product of suburbia, built entirely around the assumption that everyone would drive there, and when driving there stopped being the only option, the entire model started to crack. What's happening to these dead malls now is its own strange chapter. Some have been demolished entirely and replaced with apartment complexes or outdoor strip retail. Others have been converted into churches, indoor go-kart tracks, call centers, or massive Amazon distribution warehouses, which carries its own irony. The very company that helped kill the mall now sometimes owns the building that replaced it. A small number have become tourist curiosities. Abandoned mall photography has become its own genre online. People fascinated by walking through frozen monuments to a very specific era of American life. But it's not a complete extinction story. A handful of malls have survived and even thrived by becoming something closer to entertainment destinations than shopping destinations, leaning into restaurants, movie theaters, trampoline parks, and experiences that can't simply be replicated by a website. The malls that figured out people will still travel somewhere for an experience, just not for a transaction, are the ones still standing. So what really killed the American mall wasn't a single villain. It was a slow convergence, big box convenience, online shopping, anchor store collapse, and a generational shift in taste, all hitting the same fragile model within the same 20-year window. The mall was built for a version of America that assumed everyone would always drive somewhere enclosed to spend their Saturday. That assumption quietly stopped being true, and the buildings are still out there proving it. Did you grow up going to the mall, or did you miss that era entirely? Tell me in the comments. And if hidden American history like this interests you, there's a video right here about what really happened to the American milkman.